Welcome to Home in Ticino. I'm Christopher Horskamp.
And I am Eliana Beccegato.
And we're here to help you discover the wonderful world of real estate in our beautiful canton of Ticino.
Are you ready?
Let's go. Welcome to our last road trip through Ticino. Last time we explored the Sottoceneri, but today we're heading west of Bellinzona to discover some of the most picturesque areas of the canton: Locarno, Ascona, and their beautiful valleys. We've got a lot of windy roads to cover today, so get comfortable. This is going to be a gorgeous journey. Once again, we are starting our journey from Bellinzona, and instead of heading south towards Lugano, we're taking the A13 west. Destination: Locarno, Ascona, and the amazing valleys nearby. Remember those 3 castles we saw in the first episode? They're getting smaller in our rearview mirror as we head into what many consider to be the sunniest region of Switzerland. To my right, Eliana is focusing on the road again, so I'll be your guide through this delightful area.
Hi everyone, great to see you again.
So the A2 motorway that we know so well now is getting further away to our left as it will head up Monteceneri. I mean, we've already traveled all the way from the Canton Uri to Chiasso on the A2. I think we covered it pretty well. We will travel through some small towns on this road like Monte Carasso, where you can take a small cable car up to Corzut and explore the mountain, hosting ruins of an antique village. Check out the beautiful frescoes in the Chiesa di San Bernardo, a medieval church seemingly in the middle of nowhere, or take a nice hike to the Ponte Tibetano Carrasque, an impressive suspension bridge that traverses the Sementina River as it flows down steep grades and waterfalls towards the Ticino River. As we pass through Sementina, the Ticino River starts to come closer to this side of the valley. As we drive along, you might notice the valley opening up. That narrow passage where we were near Bellinzona, it's giving way to something completely different. You can't see it yet, but we're getting close to Lago Maggiore, or Verbano, or, in German, Langense. And just before it, we have the Aeroporto di Locarno. The airport has a helicopter charter company, a flight school, it houses the local Rega Air Rescue helicopter, and is the home to the Paracentro for skydiving. I can tell you, if you are a skydiver, you're in for a real treat here, as you have a view of the mountains, lakes, and Italy as it flattens out in the distance. I know it's not very nice of us, but before we see the lake, we want to veer off and go up the first valley we want to show you today. And you have to trust us. This is one of the most spectacular places in Ticino. But get comfy, because it's a pretty windy road. Just past La Vertezzo and Gordola, we turn right. Just here.
Okay, we are going to Val Verzasca.
Let's go due north up this road a bit. There are some cute restaurants around here, and sometimes in the spring and summer, locals will sell their products to the considerable number of tourists who come through here. Where are they going? Where we're going. We are at the Ponte dei Salti, or Bridge of Jumps, a footbridge crossing the Verzasca River. It is probably the most photographed spot in all of these valleys. It's a double-arched bridge from the 17th century.
They also call it Roman Bridge, even though it's not really Roman.
From the bridge, you can see the turquoise water, which has, over the centuries, cut through the giant boulders and stones before us. It is gorgeous. In the summer, many people jump off this bridge for a thrill, but it really should be left to those with a lot of experience, as it's about 13 meters high. Keep in mind you are falling for 1.63 seconds and hit the water at 57 kilometers per hour. Let's climb down the rocks to the river. Be careful, they can be slippery. Feel how cold the water is? Even in the height of summer, this water rarely gets above 15 degrees Celsius. It comes straight from the mountains. And look how the rock has been worn smooth. These granite formations are like natural sculptures. In the winter, this river is magnificent for ice swimming, again, for those who are well experienced in the activity. We could go up the road a bit to Brione, Verzasca, not to be confused with Brione sopra Minusio, just next to Locarno. This Brione, Verzasca, is a village of 177 inhabitants, and it sits where two smaller valleys join. You could keep going north up to Sonogno, or turn left up the other valley. Either way, you are in a paradise of hiking, bouldering, mountain biking, barbecue spots, and may even find some rusticos that you can rent to extend your stay. We are going to head back down the valley, though. And from the Ponte dei Salti to our next stop is just about 10 minutes. Here we are. Pull over.
Mr. Bond, I've been expecting you.
That's right. You might recognize this even if you've never been here before. This is the Contra Dam, but everyone here calls it the Verzasca Dam. And if it looks familiar, it might be because James Bond jumped off of it in the opening scene of GoldenEye. And that structure in the middle of the dam? You can bungee jump here too. It's a 220-meter drop, one of the highest bungee jumps in the world if you're feeling adventurous. Did you know that Switzerland actually has more than 220 dams and 682 hydroelectric stations? We make use of the Alpine streams and rivers to provide almost 60% of our electricity needs. Alright, look ahead. Can you see that shimmer? From the dam, looking through the valley, we can finally see a tiny bit of Lago Maggiore. Let's get a bit closer. Alright, and now the lake is just next to us on the left, but we're about to go through a 5-kilometer long tunnel called the Mappo Morettina. Here we will exit the A13 immediately to make a 180 into Locarno. If we went straight, we would have gone to Ascona, but hold your horses, we will get there too. At least we're in Locarno now. Look to the left. We're going through a rotonda, or roundabout, or traffic circle, whatever you want to call it. You can see it isn't a normal rotonda. It's huge, and if you look down, there's an open space where they're having an event. It looks like some sort of concert or party. I bet tonight it will be a lot of fun after dark. This is the Rotonda of Locarno, and seriously, they have concerts, family activities, artistic installations, and food festivals here. You have to see it to believe it. Oh, and some local history? From the Rotonda you can see the Castello Visconteo. It probably existed in some form since ancient times and was expanded numerous times through the Middle Ages, with what we see today coming from renovations by the Visconti family of Milan in the 14th and 15th centuries. The castle, as did Locarno, changed hands numerous times through history. And a special piece of trivia for you. Adjacent to Castello Visconteo, we have a fortification called Leonardo's Rivellino. This is a Renaissance fortification designed by Leonardo da Vinci and is the only modern military construction of its design that has remained intact without changes. Because of this, it has been used to study Renaissance war technology.
I'm gonna park over here.
We are entering Locarno now. Is it a thriving metropolis? Well, it is thriving, but as Switzerland's 74th largest city, it's a bit short of a metropolis. Let's get out here. Feel these smooth cobblestones under your feet? They're called rizzata, and they're laid in a special pattern. You tend to see this type of pavement in Lombardy and Ticino, with many of the stones coming from the Ticino River. The first thing you see is Piazza Grande. This isn't just any town square. Every August, it transforms into the world's largest outdoor cinema for the Locarno Film Festival. Since 1946, filmmakers and cinema lovers have gathered here. They put a huge screen right over there, and thousands of people sit in chairs under the stars to watch the new and often artistic films. The festival symbol is the leopard, and winning the Golden Leopard Award here is a huge deal in the film world. During the film festival, they lay out about 8,000 chairs here every night. But right now, you can see all the cafes and restaurants with their outdoor seating. This is where the locals come for their morning cappuccino or evening aperitivo. Just up the hill, and we can't see it from here, is the incredibly beautiful and impressive Madonna del Sasso, or Mary of the Rock Shrine, probably the most famous landmark in Locarno. It's built on a rock overlooking the city. The story goes that in 1480, a Franciscan friar had a vision of the Virgin Mary here, and they built a sanctuary as a result. One day, when we have more time, we can take the funicular up for a visit and enjoy the view of the city and the lake. Okay, Locarno feels like a tiny city. It's got a train station it shares with Moralto, and you can actually get to Lugano in a half an hour. There's also an urban and suburban bus system called the Ferrovie Autolinee Regionali Ticinese, or FART. Yes, F-A-R-T. It is an unfortunate acronym in English, and you do see it written on the vehicles around here. Anyway, the FART buses also serve Ascona. I still giggle every time. Moving on, there is also a special railway that connects Locarno to Domodossola in Italy, known as the Centovalli, going through, maybe you guessed, Centovalli.
The Italians also call it the Vigezzina.
We'll head over that way a bit later. Locarno has a lot going for it, also including a lakeside beach, a wonderful lido with heated indoor and outdoor pools and water slides, and even a falconry school. Oh, and one more thing. Locarno boasts more than 2,100 hours of sunshine per year. That's more than anywhere else in Switzerland. If that's important to you, you're in the right place here. So it's time to discover another valley. We are going to head up the Maggia River on the Via Valle Maggia to go to
Valle Maggia.
This is a valley that the locals know and love, and the rest of the world has yet to discover. Heading northwest, on the left of the road, you can see beautiful canyons carved by the river. We are also starting to see adorable little villages, some with Vendici or for sale signs written on them. You can find rusticos and other buildings to rent for vacation in and out of these villages, as the area has wonderful hiking and nature, including many waterfalls. In the summer, Valle Maggia is a hot spot for the Ticinese to find a place to cool off in higher elevations with mountain river access. Oh, and speaking of waterfalls, and another great piece of trivia, in 2021, Laszlo Schaller, a Brazilian-Swiss diver, made the world record for the highest jump into water, 58.8 meters. This is higher than the Leaning Tower of Pisa now. Actually, the Tower of Pisa was 60 meters, but is now only 56. Anyway, Laszlo made the jump, which took 3.58 seconds, and he hit the water at 120 kilometers per hour. He came out in pretty good shape with just a slightly dislocated hip. If that gets your adrenaline rushing, there are safer tours that'll take you canyoning. This is an aquatic sport that combines hiking, climbing, jumping, swimming, and rappelling down Alpine streams, which you can find all over Ticino. Find an experienced guide, and you can have a great rush without dislocating your hip. Okay, we just passed Cevio. From there, you could go up the mountain on an incredibly windy road to some tiny villages, including Bosco Gorin, at the end of the valley, Bosco Gorin. It's next to the Italian border, so of course they speak, well actually, due to historical purposes, it's the only municipality in Ticino where German is a co-official language. It was settled in 1244 during the Walser migration, the Walser people being speakers of the Walser Germanic dialects and typically coming from very high Alpine areas. This town is also the highest municipality in Ticino at 1,500 meters. Population? 46. And here we are at Caverno. To the northwest, the road goes through Val Bavona, with gorgeous alpine landscapes, including the Cascata di Foroglio. You have to check if the area is accessible. In June 2024, there were some considerable landslides which, beyond property damage, claimed 7 lives. The people of Val Bavona are strong, of course, and reparation of vital infrastructure has been ongoing. For this, the area has been closed off to non-residents and permission is required by local authorities to visit properties for sale. Yet, even with that, there is still an incredible demand for properties because of the beauty and peace of the area. If we were going to head to the northeast from here, we would finish in the holiday village of Fusio, or many other little pieces of paradise along the way. But Eliana's already turning the car around to take us to the amazing artistic town of Ascona. Before we get there, look to the right. This tiny town is called Tegna, and from here the road leads to valleys Osernone, another beautiful valley with interesting properties, and Centovalli. Centovalli means 100 valleys, and it connects with Italy just down the way, and will lead you to Domodossola. It is a narrow road, and not for the faint of heart, but full of charming villages and gorgeous landscapes. Do you see that little rail bridge? Yes, it's here at Tegna, the Centovallina, that little scenic railway we discussed earlier, crosses the Maggia River. Now, the Maggia River is on our right as we arrive to where we were right after Locarno. Here we will actually cross the river too. You see, Locarno and Ascona are built on the delta of the Maggia River, and the river actually divides the two towns. We can park right over here. Ascona isn't very big, so it's quick to get around, but the small streets in town feel like a labyrinth. I get turned around every time I'm looking for my friend's art gallery in Passaggio San Pietro. Ah yes, right over here. Unfortunately, she's not in, or I'd introduce you. She's actually in Japan right now to open an exhibit of her work. This is the kind of story here, though. So many artists on so many different levels doing incredible things. Painters, designers, sculptors, 3D artists, musicians, whatever you can think of, they are here. And come with me just a few steps. Look at this. This is inspiration. This is where Ascona meets Lago Maggiore. These colorful buildings, bars, restaurants, it feels like a town for vacationers and artists. And it feels so Mediterranean here. We are rarely at a loss for sunlight. Ascona is something special. Would you believe that this tiny town was once home to one of Europe's most fascinating alternative communities? Back in the early 1900s, a group of artists, philosophers, and free thinkers established what they call Monte Verita, or the Mountain of Truth. Up that way, in the early 1900s, that whole hill was covered with simple wooden cabins where people lived according to what they called life reform principles. They practiced vegetarianism, nudism, and alternative lifestyles way before it was cool. Erich Maria Remarque, Hermann Hesse, even Carl Jung spent time here. The dancer Mary Wingman developed her experimental dance here, and the artist Hugo Ball started the Dada movement after spending time on this very mountain. Okay, let's get back in the car. There's one more place I want you to see. We're heading west from Ascona down the coast of Lago Maggiore. We're passing Rocco sopra Ascona and we're heading to a town called Brissago. Look to your left. Do you see those islands? Those are the Brissago Islands, the only islands in the Swiss waters on Lago Maggiore. They're home to a botanical garden with plants from all over the world. The climate is so mild here that even banana trees and other tropical plants can survive outdoors. And as we arrive to the Italian border, again, this is where we stop because this is the Home in Ticino podcast. I think it's also a good place to end the Ticino road trip series too. The islands of Brissago are kind of poetic, no? Defying all stereotypes of Switzerland, here is a place to thrive. One of the safest countries in the world with unmatched beauty. Incredible. This geographical blessing is why Locarno boasts more than 2,100 hours of sunshine per year. That's more than anywhere else in Switzerland. Partner that with a Mediterranean feel, and living in Ticino feels like living in a vacation. Even if life feels chaotic, feeling at home in Ticino brings a certain peace I'm not sure you can find anywhere else. For more information on this subject, check out our website www.homeinticino.com, or even the Italian version, www.casainticino.com, and take a look at the links that are available. And with that, we close our last road trip. We'd like to thank you for joining us, and now that you know a bit better where everything is in the canton, we look forward to being with you in future episodes as we explore more deeply the real estate market and peculiarities of buying a home in Ticino.
If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you follow us.
Yes, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of your favorite podcast services, so you can listen to new episodes as they come out. Every village and every house has a story, and we're happy to help you discover them.
So, until the next episode,
Remember, you're at home with us in Ticino.